Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this video, we're going to be going over a quick guide for Ironeye. Ironeye is an incredible character in Elden Ring Nightreign. He has the passive ability Eagle Eye, where he discovers better items. He has the character skill Marking, which can give you a target where you can get a ton of DPS, and single shot his ultimate art, which is incredible, is a giant arrow. You're invincible while using this. It does a good amount of poise damage and stuns the majority of bosses. For this video, we're going to go over an Ironeye quick guide. He is probably the most broken and overpowered character in the entire game right now, and I don't even think it's close to any of the other characters. He truly is the easiest. It's a testament because my skill at these games is pretty average for the most part. You probably know that from my name, and I still find playing Ironeye very easy. First things first, I want to mention the initial camp that you jump into, which is you always take out. When you're using Ironeye, you're probably going to have the most DPS of your entire group. You're going to be dishing out a ton of DPS right away early on, so make sure you take out that camp quickly for everybody in your group so you can grab the items there. Also, be sure to check everything in terms of bows and whatnot. These specific areas you can see right here, they drop bows where they're essentially holding bows, and see if you get anything good. There really wasn't anything amazing here. Eventually, later in this run, though, I do get a frost bow, which is incredible, and we'll go over that in detail, as well as all of his abilities and how to play as Ironeye in Elden Ring Nightreign. Things first is you're going to want to use your light attacks fairly often. At the end of this video, I'll go over some basic relic ideas that you want to put together for Ironeye to make him even more powerful. There was his ultimate ability right there. You could see it knocked the Crucible Knight right on the ground immediately, did a ton of poise damage too, and then our allies here, in this case, our two friends that were playing with us here, these were randoms, but they were actually really good players. They jumped in and did a ton of damage to him, which is what you want to do when you're playing with an Ironeye. Some cases, groups are going as 3 Ironeyes because he's that good. If you have a Duchess, though, she can actually replay the ultimate ability of Ironeye. She can get that damage twice, which is amazing. They jumped right in. That's exactly what you want to do if you're playing with an Ironeye after he uses his ability, because most of the time, the boss will either be knocked down or stunned. Now we're going to talk about abilities and playstyle. Ultimately, I like the light attack as much as I can. If you can find a bow with the periodic glint blades, it's really helpful specifically for Ironeye, because when bosses and enemies come up near you, you're just going to do damage with those, and it's very helpful. Ultimately, though, you're going to want to stay back as much as you can. Get as many light attacks as you can possibly get in. We'll talk about status effects later, but they're super overpowered for Ironeye specifically, and the reason is because his DPS is just so high. So you can get in so many status builds up on different things, whether it's poison, frost, blood, etc. You can get a lot of it out of Ironeye simply by just shooting so much, because he's got a lot of stamina, he's able to shoot a lot of light arrows, and he's able to build up status effects quickly. I actually like Mighty Shot, I want to mention that too, as an Ash of War. It does fit Ironeye well, and it does a good amount of poise damage. Continue to pressure bosses with your light attacks, and we're going to go over abilities here shortly. This was a clip when I was still learning Ironeye, so I didn't really use his regular ability that much. I end up using his ultimate, though, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. With the regular ability, though, of course, you can get the target and do a lot of damage, but being underneath bosses is a little bit tricky, so I was playing it a little bit too safe here. Anyways, back to the ultimate, which I just used there, and if you have a Duchess, I mentioned this before, she can repeat that ultimate. It will stun the boss, do a ton of damage, and if you can combine that with the targeting, every once in a while, if you get the targeting on his main regular ability, and then you go for your ultimate, you can get a ton of damage if you land it there. It is difficult to land it there, though, because a lot of these bosses are very mobile. They move around a lot, so it's a little bit difficult to do. In this case, though, I chose to play it safe because I had a lot of frost buildup, which was really helpful. I really do like frost and poison for Ironeye. If you have any relics that are going to give you poison or frost ability before the start of a match, I recommend them for Ironeye, pretty much immediately putting them on. They are essential for Ironeye. They increase his DPS substantially, and they're something you're going to want to have. I really like the periodic glint blades too, because regular enemies will walk up behind you and you'll stun them, and then you can continue to concentrate on the boss, which is awesome. When you get the option for longer invincibility windows during evasive maneuvers, pick that option pretty much every time. It's amazing. Here we're going to solo a boss because our teammates, I guess, ended up wherever. So we're going to take on this boss with just me on 3-player mode because they were somewhere else. Again, I was with randoms for this match, and we're going to see how we do here. In this case, I wanted to stay completely away from this boss. This boss has some of the worst upfront attacks in the entire game. You probably remember these from Elden Ring and such. They're very frustrating. They can do a lot of slam downs and repeated attacks. They tend to have like no stamina bar. So here we're going to stay as far back as we possibly can, get as much damage and frost build up as we can, and see if we can solo this boss without the help of our allies. In this specific scenario, my teammates were really good. I want to mention that. So I wasn't too worried about whatever they were doing. I was pretty sure they were going to stay upright most of the time. But for me, I wanted to take this boss on just as a little bit of a challenge for myself because I'm going to be trying out single player soon. And I figured, what the heck, might as well try to take on this boss, see what I can do. Again, I did not use the targeting ability here. I will show that later. I use it in the later clips in this video. I'm also going to show a little bit of guide for Gaping Jaw if you're having difficulty with them. A lot of people are having a hard time specifically with that boss. He's very difficult in Phase 2, so we'll go over him a little bit too with Ironeye. Back to this boss, though, as it continues to back up. This is some of that Elden Ring cheese we were used to. We're going to do as much damage as we can, use Mighty Shot, use our ultimate ability when we have it, and then try to get as much frost build up as possible while standing far away. If you're near him or close to him, odds are he's going to do consecutive successive attacks with slam downs, and that's going to take you out really quickly in Elden Ring Nightreign. This is a challenging game. A lot of people are complaining about the difficulty, and I can see and understand why. It is very hard overall, but I am winning some matches, and for me, I'm just average at these games. I'm getting better with certain characters, including Ironeye here, and I'm starting to learn them, which is awesome, and I'm really enjoying the game. So far, I can't give it anything more than a 7 out of 10. I do want to mention that. I didn't want to post a review up yet because I wasn't completely sure about my score. But after 15 hours, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10 and say it's really fun, but there is frustrating parts to it too. I'll do a review probably at a different time. If you guys are curious about a complete review, going over the game, what's wrong with it, what's good about it, be sure to comment below so I know. I'm going to grab this here, and this is going to end up giving me more physical damage negation. That's incredible. And now we're going to talk about the targeting ability because I use it here, and we're going to take on this dragon, and then we're going to show a little bit of guide, as I mentioned, for Gaping Jaw upcoming here soon. You saw it there, I used my targeting ability. Now, if I hit his head, I'll do extra damage. Unfortunately, with the ancient dragons, they tend to move their heads very often, so it's really hard to hit them sometimes. But here we can get in a couple hits, and it will do extra damage. In some cases, it'll even posture break them. Unfortunately, ancient dragons have some of the highest posture across any Souls game ever. I'm not even sure they could be entirely posture broken, just stunned more or less. And there I was able to get the stun with the ultimate ability. And of course, if the Duchess is there, she's able to replicate that ability and get the damage more so with her regular ability. Now, back to Ironeye. We're just going to stack up as much frost arrows as we can possibly get. I really like the light attacks here for status effect build-up, using the ultimate when need be, getting that target, and then you're always making sure that you hit that target. Wherever that target lands, you want to hit it every time because that's how you're going to get the most of your damage from that targeting ability. However, with some bosses, and I'll show this at the end when we face Gaping Jaw, I don't use it as much because I don't like going underneath some of these bosses. It tends to get me knocked out a lot. Granted, he has some iframes, I mentioned that earlier, which is awesome, but it's not always entirely useful. And in the case of Gaping Jaw after this, if you go under him and he does a couple slam downs, which he does, and his basically ground attack where it comes up and can damage a whole area of effect in AoE, it can take you out very quickly if you're trying to get underneath him. With the dragon, it was a little bit easier, so I just targeted him several times, went for his head, and used the ability to basically the best that I could. And I did enjoy it. Ironeye is very broken. As I mentioned, he's incredible. He really is the best character, in my opinion, in the entire game. And I don't even think there's a character that comes close to Ironeye. I'm hearing and seeing things where people are agreeing with me all over basically YouTube and everywhere else that Ironeye is kind of completely broken. And yeah, he is. They're running 3-man squads with Ironeye, running through bosses like crazy. I mentioned that earlier too. It's incredible. He's that good. I'm hoping this character doesn't get nerfed because you want to know what? Bows deserve this. A character with bows deserves this because for so long, in so many Souls games, Elden Ring, all these games that we play, bows have been so bad, not really good at all. And finally, we have a character that utilizes a bow that is actually incredible. And the ability to get your allies too. When your allies go down, it is a little bit wonky trying to target them at times. There's the ultimate ability again for a nice stun. That is awesome. When your allies go down, though, you can shoot them with your bow really quickly and get them up. When they have one bar, it really is a joke getting them up. It's just a couple of arrows from a distance, and you can get them right up. That's another hugely convenient thing. All around, pretty much everything Ironeye has is useful. Everything he has is very, very useful for Elden Ring Nightreign. If you're struggling with this game at all, switch to Ironeye, try him out, and I have no doubt you're going to do just as well as I did with him, because he really is one of the best, if not the best character in the entire game. I think he's the best. I'm sure as I go through all the characters, some other ones will come close. I do really like the Duchess, so I think she's going to end up coming close too. I learned her after a while. My first win, I didn't really know how to play her, but now I'm learning how to play her, and she's quite good too. The Guardian there, though, I wasn't a huge fan of. I'll have to play as him again and learn him a little bit more. We're going to be jumping into the Gaping Jaw boss fight, and at the end of this fight, I'm going to go over some basic ideas for Relics to help you build Ironeye and make him really powerful. Let's jump into the fight with Adel, Barron of Night. So, as we mentioned, status effect buildup is incredible, and of course we have Frost here. That's going to be really helpful specifically for this boss because it slows him down a little bit, procs, does damage, and then he takes increased damage afterwards. Frost is very helpful for this boss fight, and Poison. If you could run two characters that have Poison and Frost, or have all of your characters have a combination of Poison and Frost, I have no doubt that this boss is going to be significantly easier for you rather than so many other builds. He's very difficult as a melee character. You're going to see me not target him much because I choose not to stand under him. He moves around too much, and when I'm underneath him, the camera, most of the time, I end up losing it. I either end up getting bit, end up in his jaw, or in some cases, just get the ground slams and can't dodge through them. So I tend to stay away from him entirely, using my regular light attacks for status buildup, and then my ultimate ability when I can to get a lot of damage with it. I also want to use the Ash of War Mighty Shot as well. That gives you a little extra status buildup and some poise damage too. And be aware, when I'm talking about targeting him, I mean his main ability. I probably should have used it here a couple of times when he was stationary, but for the most part, he's moving around constantly. I wasn't really having luck in previous runs getting the target on him and hitting it, so I decided to go the alternate route as just to see as much as I could possibly get in terms of the Frost build-up and try to slow him down a little bit, get a little increased damage to him, and do as much as I can ultimately. Kind of do my part here. There we get a couple dodges in. He's very tricky up close. The camera angle tends to work against you. I find these bosses with the camera can be really difficult because they're very big. They're huge bosses. Pretty much all of them are gigantic. And yeah, it makes it very difficult to sometimes roll through when you can't see the boss's mouth, which is most of his attacks. He does have a ton of ground slams when you're underneath him, though, and you need to watch out for them, too. Basically, pay attention as much as you can because he's got a lot of pretty deadly attacks. As you can see there with our ally going down, hitting him with the regular bow is hugely convenient and can save us in a lot of situations. It's awesome. There we get a critical break. Keep in mind with Elden Ring Nightreign, when a boss is being critically broken, all your allies can go up and attack him repeatedly and stack damage. It's the same after you use your ultimate ability and stun him. Stack as much damage as you can there. See a frame drop there, by the way? I have a 4070, but it still drops. I'm hearing from a couple different people that it drops at some points in this boss fight. There's a lot going on in Phase 2 of this fight, so I did have some frame drops there. Back to the fight, though. We're going to continue our status build-up, get as much Frost build-up as we can, dodge those mouth attacks as much as we can, except for here where I get knocked out, and then get back to it. I really didn't want to be a liability here because I was still kind of learning all of the characters, essentially, although I felt most comfortable with Ironeye from the start. He really is that good to the point where he can get very comfortable using this character. And our ally went down. Once again, we're going to use it with bows, and it's much easier than running up, not being able to see anything, and basically staying at a distance, having the boss in your sight. In this case, he's towards the right of me, and then getting my ally up. And that ends up, in the end, this is going to be a win as a result of some of these specific things that we did that way, where I was very careful, didn't go underneath him too much, kept my distance for what he does his massive explosion attack because you want to run away from that. It's just the easiest thing to do. And all these ground slams, you just want to get away from them typically. This is why I didn't use the targeting ability and instead ultimately went for regular shots, dodging, and then as soon as that ultimate ability charged up, I'd use that to stun him and kind of give everybody a break. That's the other thing about his ultimate ability is you can actually give your teammates a break. If he's going to hit them and stuff, it'll just stop him in his tracks, stun him completely, do a good amount of damage, and then you can go help your allies. It's really convenient for that. I do think a lot of his abilities are just incredibly OP. As we mentioned with the targeting and marking ability against the dragon, we were doing a lot of damage. And then here in this case, using the ultimate and that status effect DPS is truly incredible. This boss fight, very tricky, by the way, in Phase 2. I do want to mention a few things that may help you. The camera angle will work against you for the most part, but I want to mention that frosting him is very helpful because it seems to slow down some bosses a little bit and they take increased damage. I mentioned that earlier, of course, but I want to really press on that point to have at least one character with a frost ability or the ability to frost him in Phase 2. And, of course, if you have somebody with poison, too, this fight would have went even quicker. This fight would have went a lot quicker had another character had poison. You don't really need bleed here, but poison and frost are crucial for the fight against Adel, Baron of Night, also known as Gaping Jaw. Because all of these bosses need nicknames, of course. They are really good, though. The Night Lords I mentioned in a previous video that I did, I'll, by the way, post my top tip videos in the description. I'll put it in the description as well. I posted that the other day. It's kind of beginner tips and stuff. It should help you in terms of how to go through runs a little bit easier. But yeah, these bosses, the Night Lords, they put a ton of effort into them. They're really awesome in terms of fighting these, but they're very difficult too. They could be a little bit taxing, spending 40 minutes to get to the boss and then getting taken down. So you want to have a good team composition, but more to the point, you want to have a team that works together, even if you're playing with randoms, sticking together and finding the right windows to pick up your teammates, finding the right windows to use your ultimate ability, your regular ability, etc. And in my case, I didn't want to be a liability because I was still learning the character a little bit. So I wanted to stay back as far as I can, and I was able to put out a lot of DPS. And I was pretty much the one getting the frost build up too multiple times on him, slowing him down, getting more damage, etc. And then that ultimate ability is truly incredible. There's a little bit of a miss with it there, though, because of the angle. The only thing I don't like about that is the desert was kind of in the way there. It can kind of be a little bit difficult if he's at a certain angle, but if he's above or directly in line with you, it'll hit every time. You want to make sure you hit that ultimate. I end up getting bit here. I think this is the second time I went down. Wasn't too bad, though, against this boss. I'm hearing this is probably one of the toughest, maybe second or first toughest boss in the entire game in terms of Night Lords. And the reason for that, I think, is because he's just doing too much all the time. And it's really just a spectacle of just everything going on constantly and you trying to survive. Another advantage that Ironeye has is that he can kind of avoid all that, stay away from him, and then dodge when he's up close and concentrate on just getting out arrows. Arrows come out really quickly, so you're not stuck in the animation very long. All right. At the end of this fight, of course, we're going to get a win. I'm going to mention some relics that you will like for Ironeye and put them on the screen. Stuff you want to build around and ideas to build around Ironeye to make him even more OP. First one that I love the most is stamina regen on successful hit. This works really well with arrows and can constantly allow you to constantly hit with Ironeye. It's amazing. Poison or frost buildup on your arrows is absolutely awesome. Flask heals allies, incredibly convenient, should be for most characters. Ultimate ability cooldowns are great too in this case, but the main thing is anything stamina related. Getting stamina regen on successful hits is amazing. And of course, any status effect buildup you can possibly get on the arrows because you have incredibly high DPS. And that's the real focus. You're going to get specific ones for Ironeye as you go to, a specific relic for Ironeye. That could be something that you want to use as well. You're going to be absolutely crushing it if you choose Ironeye. Have no question about that. If you're struggling with the game, pick Ironeye, learn him really quickly, and you're going to be doing a ton of DPS and taking down Night Lords in no time and crushing Elden Ring Nightreign. Catch you in the next one.